And a good morning to my amplified unit out there, or afternoon by the time you guys receive this video. Before I actually get to the Monday Night Raw review and reaction from Monday, December 16th, 2019, I first want to reiterate a message that I sent out later last night in a video that I sent out right before Monday Night Raw hit the air. And that message was to and for Becky Lynch, but more importantly, that message was to and for Rebecca Quinn, the lady behind the character. Because while we were all wrapped up in this Kairi Sane situation, we failed to take a step back and applaud and say thank you to Becky Lynch for protecting Kairi Sane in that match. We failed to take a step back and applaud and thank Rebecca Quinn for protecting Kairi Sane in that match. Because I assure you, at that moment in time, at that moment in your life, all that matters is who you're in that ring with. That is your family, because you have thousands of people right there in that arena staring at you. Over 1 million more staring at you on pay-per-view. All you have is your family in that ring, because there's more of them than there are of you. And if you don't protect your fellow wrestler, your fellow family member, you're in trouble from the jump. That was so awesome to see, and that was the basis of yesterday's video that I put out, because I wanted to do my own research, more research, on where Kairi Sane got this injury. Was she legit injured? Because a lot of us still didn't know a lot. We had to go back and find out, and nobody was telling us anything. And you guys know on this channel, I pride myself on this channel with giving you guys the utmost in research, the utmost in truth, and the utmost in facts. That's what separates me from other channels. That's why I pride myself on being the best channel on this platform. There's 1 million people on this platform giving you their opinion every single Tuesday morning, or after every show. This sucked, that was good, and this needs to be changed. And they go on for a half an hour, and I'll see you tomorrow. And they do the same shit. This sucked, this needs to be changed. Well, we all know that. You're basically just stating the obvious. But on this channel, I like to give facts. I like to do my research and drop some amazing statistics on you guys to make you guys really think. I like to give you thought-provoking conversation to go about your day with. So that's what I did yesterday. I took time to re-watch that match vividly. And I wanted to see up front where Kairi Sane actually got the injury. And by the time I was done watching that match again, I no longer cared where she got the injury. I was now watching at how Rebecca Quinn was protecting Kairi Sane. My research led me down a whole nother rabbit hole. And I found a whole newfound respect for Rebecca Quinn, for Becky Lynch. And then I put out that video, and that's what's so cool about the power that we have on this platform, because once we put something out there to the world, you guys latch onto it and you guys start researching it. And you guys found out some awesome footage that was taken in the arena from people. You sent it to me, and I thank you guys on social media that sent me that video, by the way, in those videos, of Rebecca Quinn, Becky Lynch, whatever you want to. When I'm talking real life, I can't help but call her Rebecca, but we'll stick with Becky Lynch. We'll stay in character here. Becky Lynch was actually rolling Kairi toward the apron, basically trying to protect her so she doesn't get in the line of fire when Charlotte and Asuka come back around. That's how much, that shit I didn't even see from WWE's footage. But if you look at footage that was shot in the arena by fans, Becky Lynch took protection on Kairi Sane to a whole nother level. And that's why I thanked her in yesterday's video, because I saw just on WWE's footage how she was taking it easy on Kairi and taking care of her and protecting her. Because in the long run, I assure you, that is the type of shit that your family member needs at that moment. Kairi Sane, it is reported that she was crying backstage afterwards. Obviously, she takes great pride in her work. And she feels that she is letting everybody down. Not just her fellow wrestlers, but everybody in attendance and everybody watching at home. She feels she let everyone down because she takes pride in her work. She wants to do better, but her mind was not letting her. The lights were on, but nobody was home. She was out on her feet. So you can make her feel like shit, or you could be like Rebecca Quinn, Becky Lynch, my bad. We'll stay in character. You could be like Becky Lynch and say, hey, I understand, I got you, don't worry, we're gonna make this work. At that time for Kairi Sane, the stress had to have been tenfold. The panic was setting in. You know you should be doing something else, but you just physically can't do it. You need somebody that is there for you. I cannot stress enough how awesome that was to see. Just on the the pay-per-view footage from WWE, and I realized how much Becky Lynch was protecting her. But then I see the videos that you guys were sending me. And rolling Kairi toward the apron. It was like fucking like an animal would do for their cub, you know what I mean? It was so fucking awesome. Because that is family in there, man. And I take that shit to heart. I'm one of those loyal cats, man. I don't fuck around. Loyalty is huge for me. So to see that's why I'm even more dramatic about it, if you want to say. It's because it means something to me. Charlotte Flair, on the other hand, I don't want to reiterate those comments that I made in yesterday's video because I told you guys how I felt about Charlotte. Charlotte Flair just didn't give a fuck. And if you're going to tell me that Charlotte Flair didn't know that Kairi Sane was down and out, that's absolute bullshit. Because we all knew, as fucking fans, critics, analysts, journalists, whatever you want to call yourself, we all knew what was going on. Charlotte didn't, and Charlotte still tries to go full throttle with a spear. Charlotte still wants to put this bitch to a fucking table full throttle. Charlotte Flair smacks the shit out of her when Kairi Sane crumbled off the spear. Charlotte smacks her and then rips her up by her fucking head. What was Charlotte Flair doing? Then there was a moment where Kairi Sane is running away from Charlotte with the chair because Kairi knows she cannot take this hit. And Kairi is hoping that Charlotte knows this. Charlotte is running after Kairi with a chair. She couldn't have just slowed up a little bit. She couldn't have just adjusted and maybe not chased her with a chair. So Kairi is running for her fucking life inside the ring. I don't know what Charlotte Flair was doing in that ring. I said that in yesterday's video. I don't want to go over the whole thing again. I don't want to... I want to say I want to learn more facts about what Charlotte was thinking, but there's nothing else that needs to be known. You saw how Becky Lynch handled the situation. You saw how Charlotte Flair handled the situation. One way was totally wrong. The other way was totally right. And above and beyond what I could have expected. I've been hard on Becky Lynch, the character, in 2019. Absolutely I have. I feel that the company has failed her and made the character stale. As a performer, I feel that her selling could be better. I feel that I'm always getting super Becky and that the selling is not up to par. But that's all character-wise. What I saw in the last 24 hours from Rebecca Quinn has made me appreciate Becky Lynch so much more. To the point that when she went on that little one-on-one sit-down backstage interview last night, I didn't have a repulsive feel that I was getting an overprotected character that has been stale as fuck the entire year. I got a sense of, this woman's legit. She's loyal. She's somebody I would want in a foxhole. When you need to put a little group together that you know you're going to go to war with, somebody like that is who I would want by my side. Not just because they're badass in real life or just in character, but somebody who's loyal and somebody that's going to protect me if I go down and out. I gained so much respect for Becky Lynch last night. And when you watch pro wrestling like I do, and I've been watching for over 30 years, since I was literally fucking, I don't even know, man. 2 years old. Literally. Almost out of the fucking womb. I was watching wrestling. And when you watch since I was a little kid, I just watched it differently than others. I watched it with a different type of focus. I watched it with a different type of detail. And I dissected it even as a kid, and it was weird. My friends were like, what the fuck? It's entertainment, just watch it. And I was like, nah, man, you gotta see the selling, man, and the psychology. And people were like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like 7 years old at the time talking about psychology and shit. Nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about, and here I am, much older now, and I'm still talking about that stuff. I love that side of the business, man. And I love I just love seeing that type of stuff, man. Protection of one another when something goes awry and you gotta call an audible. And you have to protect your fellow wrestler there because the referees in that company, they're not doing it. Anybody else, they would have stopped that match, or they would have just had Asuka defeat them 1-on-2, but you can't do that. No way Vince was going to let Charlotte and Becky Lynch lose against one person. How dare he? But the 2 weeks previous, Charlotte and Becky had their way with fucking both participants, right? They were a handicap match. Charlotte had her way, basically, with Asuka and Kairi, and then the next week, Becky Lynch put up a damn good fight with Asuka and Kairi in her own handicap match. But Lord forbid if we had Asuka doing that with Becky and Charlotte. But you could have went about that way, business. They chose to keep Kairi out there, and Becky was forced to do something she shouldn't have had to have done. Kairi should have been taken out of that match. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you again to Rebecca Quinn, Becky Lynch. And I wanted to reiterate the message that I sent out in yesterday's video. But now I stand by my words even more truer. Because now I have even more footage, more information to go on. And Rebecca Quinn was a rock star Sunday night. And we need people like that in this industry. Charlotte Flair, again, I don't know what she was doing. She went into business for herself. She didn't give a fuck. She just wanted to make sure that she looked golden, that her match didn't get dragged through the mud afterwards. You know what? The match got dragged through the mud. The audible had to be called. 1 of 4 participants in a TLC match were totally down and out. Yeah, the match was going to turn ugly at that point. So be it. At least you protected one of your fellow athletes, one of your fellow wrestlers. That's much more important than the wrestling match, I assure you. Anyway, that's my opening monologue to this video, guys. I thank you for allowing me this time to once again reiterate my message over to Becky Lynch and to anybody that wants to be a superstar in the future, anybody that wants to be a pro wrestler in the future. Before you practice your skills and all that great stuff and your high-flying zippity-doo-dah flips and dives, before you do any of that, I always urge you to learn psychology and learn the definition of selling and what it means and how to do it. But before even all of that, I urge you to know how to protect your fellow superstar in that ring, because that means more than anything. Care for the person you're working with. Have loyalty to those people that you are in that ring with. Because if you don't have those things, you're selling your psychology and your flippity doo-dah dives and flips, that means nothing. You're still just a piece of shit. Let's start on Monday Night Raw's review and reaction, shall we? Now that I got that out of the way, I can't say I'm going to bring the mood up any here with this show. But we'll see what we can do. This was a show where WWE just waved the white towel. We all know that. They've already packed it up for the Christmas season. You're not going to see anything of substance or of value or any topic that is worthy of talking about until 2020. And that's being generous. But we thought we were at least going to get one alright show, and then they were going to pack it up for the next couple weeks. No, they just packed it up last night. They literally just gave you just a half an hour tag match, a fucking over hour-long gauntlet match that led to literally nothing. A 25-minute main event match that led to nothing in the end, and I'll explain what I mean by that at the end of this review. It was just, you could tell that they were just like, the one time we are always asking them to give their superstars more time in matches. The one time they do it is all for nonsensical filler purposes. Go figure. You can never win with this company. But they were waving the white flag last night. It was obvious. And that was because they had to film another show that night. They taped next week's Raw last night. So that poor crowd had to sit through over 4 hours of entertainment. We started off last night with Seth Rollins. He opens the show with the AOP by his side. He says being a leader is not about being cool, but about doing the things that most don't have the courage to do. He then apologizes for what's going to happen later in the night. So he's hyping up something. I can't say that there's intrigue, but there's a little slight interest that has been piqued at that moment, right? What does he mean? Is he going to go after Owens? Is he just going to take out the entire locker room? Where is this going? Slightly interested. Far from intrigued, but slightly interested. Then we went on to, and we'd find out later on, by the way, that it was absolutely... His apology for what was going to happen was absolutely just it was so lame and lackluster. You're thinking it's going to be something grander because he's sending out this warning at the beginning of Raw. And then when you find out what he's apologizing for, it was like, what the fuck? I'll explain in just a few minutes. Next up is the first match of the night. This is the Experience Adventure Raiders taking on Gallows and Anderson for the 1,647th time. And this is why it went into the bad category in yesterday's Good, the Bad, and the Ugly review show for TLC. This is why I put that match in the bad category. Because it is nothing more than a redundant, nonsensical filler at the pay-per-view, just like it was yesterday during Raw. In all seriousness, guys, these teams, again, I pride myself on research on this channel, so I did my research, and these two teams have faced each other 11 times in the last 6 months. 11 times, whether straight up tag team or a 6-man or 8-man tag, 4-on-4. They have faced each other 11 times in the last 6 months. And you guys think that we needed to see that at a pay-per-view yesterday? Or Sunday night? And then on top of that, we needed to see it again yesterday? Title's not even on the line? This match was given 25 minutes and 2 commercial breaks, and it did nothing to make it any better. Sloppy, botch-fest bonanza. One of the experienced Viking dudes legit got dropped on his dome piece in a botch. The extra-large Viking experienced dude missed a missile fucking moonsault from the top rope. That led into a magic killer. Anderson and Gallows actually end up winning this thing. Samoa Joe is over there screaming, "New champs! New champs!" Yes, Samoa Joe, new champs! New champs! Because apparently nobody informed Samoa Joe that it was a non-title match. That's Vince McMahon for you. Nobody else knows what we're doing in our booking. We might as well make our commentators clueless too. Samoa Joe is screaming out new champs. We're all thinking, Joe, the belts were never on the line, dude. We shouldn't have to be telling our commentators this, but you can't blame Joe. Joe was probably like us. We were all thinking, what is the point and the purpose of this almost half an hour match if the titles were not on the line? It's one of those things where you have to remind yourself. You love this. You know, you love this shit. You know, when it reaches this bad, you have to remind yourself, you love this. It's going to get better. It will get better. You have to give yourself, even if it's false hope, you have to remind yourself things will get better. The commentator is yelling new champs. You're looking at Anderson and Gallows at this moment and you're thinking, why? You're giving them another couple of inches just to take them back 6 feet, right? You're bringing them up 1 mile and you're just going to drag them back 10 miles. You give them an inch, you'll take them back a mile. That's what you're going to do. You're going to give them a little bit of push and then you're going to fucking bury them for 6 weeks. So we're looking at Anderson and Gallows and we're thinking this is leading to fucking nothing. And then on the flip side, you're hearing Samoa Joe screaming new champs and you're like trying to tell Joe via the TV screen as if Joe could hear you. You're like, no, Joe, sit down, bud. There's no new champ. And then you realize you just spent a half an hour on this fucking botch fest. Up next to end hour number 1 was Rowan. He takes on High School Henry. Because this kid legit looked not a day older than 18. In all seriousness, that 2-minute match was more entertaining than the half hour we previously got with the rating experience and Anderson and Gallows. This Rowan squash match was more entertaining than anything I saw in that half an hour non-title match. Lana is up next with Lashley. Lana wants people to follow her on Instagram. This is where we've gotten to on Monday Night Raw. People are actually pimping out their Instagrams. Then blab some more nonsense for 5 minutes before finally getting to the fucking point, which was telling Lashley that she wants him to ask her to marry her. So Lashley drops to one knee, pops the question, and Lana goes into hysterical screaming of the word yes, like as if you're in a Daniel Bryan match. Yes, going hysterical that Bobby Lashley popped the question. Who gives a fuck? We were hoping this story would die down between these two because nobody knows where it's going now. At first, I said this a million times. You can't player hate on our boy Lashley. He's doing the deed with Lana. That's awesome. But after just a length of time, you quickly realize it's not going anywhere that is important and it's not leading to anything that we care about. And for those reasons, I'm ready for something else with Bobby Lashley. Maybe something that we'll give a shit about. Don't hold your breath. But I don't know where now it looks like we're going to get a mock marriage. Now it looks like we're going to get maybe Rusev Lashley part 2, as if we're going to need that. Like, is Rusev going to crash the wedding party? Gauntlet match is up next in the second hour. It took the entire second hour, by the way. Gauntlet, this was literally when I use the word nonsensical, which I like to do a lot because it defines WWE programming, this gauntlet match was literally nonsensical. What's on the line? What's the big prize? A future United States Championship match, guys. Can't make that up. Not even a world title match. No, this is a future the U.S. Championship is about as prestigious as the 24/7 title. Right? The 24/7 title is just for bragging rights within the locker room for the boys. The U.S. Championship is basically the same thing now. So not only is it for a championship that this company has not made prestigious in the longest time, but it's not even for a direct next opponent shot. It is for a future shot. So this made zero sense other than they needed to fill an hour because they have 4 hours of taping to do last night. So they're like, how can we fill a whole hour with one match? We'll do a gauntlet match. So when you know why it was being done and for the nonsensical reasoning and what goal, what big prize was dangling in front of them and how stupid it is, you were really taken out of the match right from the jump. R-Truth defeated Tozawa. Ricochet then defeats Tozawa. So Truth defeats Tozawa. Oh no, so wait. Truth is defeated by Tozawa, my bad. Then Ricochet defeats Tozawa. Then Ricochet defeats Matt Hardy. Then Humberto defeats Ricochet. And then Andrade attacks Humberto from behind and DDTs Humberto on the exposed concrete. Mysterio chases Andrade away and Zelina. What the fuck, man? Zelina was looking fucking pristine last night, guys. Anyway, that's another story. That'll be a whole nother hour video. And we go to commercial after Andrade and Zelina are chased off by Mysterio. When we come back from commercial, at this point, we are deep into the third hour. So this gauntlet match took up literally the entire second hour minus the Lana Bobby Lashley BS. Humberto is being stretchered up the ramp from his attack by Andrade, getting DDT'd on the exposed concrete. So Humberto is down and out. He's being stretchered up the rampway. And Seth Rollins and the AOP are coming down the rampway, backing up Mysterio, who is still by ringside. AOP end up jumping Mysterio. Rollins gets on the mic and said, Ray, this didn't need to go down this way. I just wanted to give you back something of yours. And he gave Mysterio the pipe that Mysterio gave Kevin Owens last week. So everything kind of went full circle there. I kind of and I was digging that storytelling. And Rollins said, it's your lucky day because I'm not going to take this any further, basically. But as he goes to walk away, Rollins turns back around and delivers his stomp. And Rey Mysterio is down and out. So that was the big, I apologize for what's going to happen later tonight. That whole opening warning by Seth Rollins, it was just for that Mysterio attack. Now, yes, that Mysterio attack was cool. I don't mind it at all. I'm not going to drag it. But when you pump it up like that and you give a warning like that and you pique people's interests, and the finished result, the big payoff is an attack on Rey Mysterio, you guys could see why it was lackluster to me, and it probably was for you guys as well. And just let me sum up that whole last hour, by the way, of nonsensical gauntlet match action. It led to nothing. Nobody wins in this match. It was a waste of time. We knew it was from the jump anyway, but we thought at least we were going to have a winner. No. That whole hour, there wasn't even a winner. Nothing progressed. Instead, when we came back from a commercial, in a backstage interview, Rollins tells Charles that he wants Rey Mysterio and his US title next week. Rey Mysterio, 2 segments later, obliges that request. So, all of those men in that gauntlet match, we don't even find out who wins, and instead Seth Rollins just walks into a US title match next week. You don't find that... I mean, that's not... just bad, man. I can give you guys a spoiler too, but I won't because they actually had that match taped last night. I will say this. This is a spoiler, guys. So just so you know, earmuffs real quick. Samoa Joe started his in-ring storyline last night at the tapings. And he actually stood up for Rey Mysterio. And it looks like Samoa Joe is going to have something to do with AOP. At this point, it looks like they're against one another, but it could turn out to be Samoa Joe joins their stable, which would also be kind of badass. Now, Asuka is up next. She's taking on NXT's Deonna Purrazzo. Now, I was just thrilled they weren't stripping the titles from Asuka and Kairi because I saw Asuka in the middle of that ring, and I was like, no, please. Let Kairi have the titles into 2020 and then see where she's at. If she literally is just not progressing well, then you strip them of the titles. Not yet, man. But sure enough, Asuka was there for a match. So I was like, thank goodness, man. As far as Deonna goes, she's good, but she ain't Asuka good. Asuka lock taps out Deonna, and Asuka stands in victory. Exactly what should be happening. But we see where this is going. This is obviously just to get to a Royal Rumble match where she will lose to Becky Lynch. Because that company has not forgotten about the mistake that they think they made last January. That company is pissed off that they made what they believe to be a mistake when they had Becky Lynch lose to Asuka. Just an hour before, Becky Lynch ended up winning that Royal Rumble. They knew that didn't make any sense and that Becky Lynch, storyline-wise, should have beaten Asuka. So now they're going to avenge that because this company is that stubborn and childish. So that's what it's looking like. That's why you saw Asuka win this matchup. Right? In almost squash fashion. Again, Deonna's actually good, but this was like a squash match, basically. It's only to pump her up so she can be fed to Becky Lynch at Royal Rumble. But you know what? I can't even be pissed right now because thinking about Rebecca Quinn, Becky Lynch actually brings me joy today, so I'm going to go easy on her. Becky Lynch is actually up next in a backstage one-on-one sit-down interview with Charles, and she says, and I quote, "The last couple of months, I haven't been myself. I've been put in this tag team division, and at first I thought the powers that be were trying to bury me. But it's actually much worse. They're trying to protect me." Well, isn't that what the Amplified Man has been saying video after video? And I take some heat by people that are Becky Lynch fans, and they're, BC, you're being too harsh. They're not protecting her, and this tells the story good, and you're trying to tell me what I'm viewing. But even though I took a lot of heat in that, I kept saying that. I kept saying Becky Lynch is being protected. And that's even worse than trying to bury someone because we can know when somebody's being buried and at least get behind them. But when they're being protected, that's just something you don't want to see because we can't get behind something like that because that means the machine is fully behind you. So I've been saying that every fucking video. And now even Becky Lynch fans can now say, BC, you were right, man. We apologize. Becky Lynch even said it herself. So, that's what I was trying to tell you guys, man. And trust me, that's a story. They're still going to protect Becky. I don't mind at all that they're using that real life scenario in a story. If you're going to do it anyway, you might as well bring a little bit of real life into it. So I'm okay with you exposing the truth and still staying in story, because you're still going to protect her anyway. So at least make it known. Make the character know that she's being protected. I like it. It's better than everybody trying to make believe like nobody's being protected. That's not happening. Nuh-uh. This is how I'm supposed to be booked normally. You know? At least bring it out there to the fucking forefront. I like that. So I like it a lot better than if we were just going to have an Asuka and Becky story with no meaning behind it. You know what I mean? At least Becky is like, you know what? No, now they're trying to protect me. I'm the fucking, you know? Play off of it. It's real life. It's not going to stop. They're going to continue to protect you. So play into it. I like the fact that they added that real life into the storyline. Because if you thought it was going to change, it wasn't. It's Vince McMahon you're talking about. I always say make me care. This is one of those stories that is sitting in their lap. And for once, they're not being difficult and stupid. They're just rolling with it. Thank you. Is that so hard to do? Randy Orton and AJ Styles end the show. Orton wins via RKO. Post-match, the OC attack Orton, and the Experienced Adventure Raiders head down for the save. And as if a half hour earlier in the show, a half hour between the Raiders and the OC wasn't enough, we get it again at the end of the show. This is never going to end with these two teams. And then the OC get the upper hand at the end of the show to take us off the air. So that Randy Orton victory, that lasted like 2 seconds, and at the end of it, AJ Styles had his hand held high by the OC. It's one of those Vince McMahon fucking... it's the only thing Vince McMahon knows how to do. We'll have this person lose, but then immediately after, they'll get beat up and the other person that just lost, they'll look victorious. So it looks like nobody lost. How about if you just book them properly, Vince? You won't have to have the same bullshit finish every single match. This was a fucking atrocious way to end the show. But again, the whole show was fucking atrocious in its own right. And that's it. That's my last Monday Night Raw review for 2019. I don't know what's happening the next week. Again, I believe they taped next week's show last night. I don't know what's happening for the 30th. I think that's going to be taped as well, correct? Either way, I don't know if there's going to be a review there. I think that's it. I'm packing things up this Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to try to give you guys a little bit of a video Thursday morning just so we can discuss. It won't be a full review, but I want to at least discuss AEW and NXT from this Wednesday because both are putting on huge shows, their last big shows of 2019. So I at least want to discuss it. So I'm going to try to have a video Thursday morning. I can't guarantee it, but Wednesday could be the last video until 2020. So this, it's not even like a sad thing. Like, oh man, that's my last review for Raw for 2019. No, I'm actually joyful of that concept. Take a fucking break from even having to discuss this tragedy. Much love to you guys. And again, we're not done with content this week. Tomorrow, there'll be a vid. I don't know if I'm going to... I know some of you guys are asking me if I can just review, like a little spoiler review of the tapings for next week. Maybe I'll do that or just have a totally separate story. But I will have an impromptu video tomorrow. And then again, Thursday morning, I hope to have my thoughts on AEW and NXT at least. So we're not done for this week yet. But this is going to be the final week of content until 2020. So let's enjoy all the time we have to spend together right now. But for now, it is over, thankfully, because that's all of Raw I can fucking speak about. The Amplified Man. Kick the rest of this Tuesday's ass. I'll see you in the morning for another impromptu. Yow! Check you later.